whatever age you are, and sometimes the milestones we set are just not in proportion with the ages that we do it, and then we compare ourselves to other people who may have had a lucky break or whatever it may be. There's so many factors and variables that can contribute. I think a career clock is a massive factor why people don't succeed.
So I really can't wait to get into the subject. I feel like everyone's really gassed and excited for this. I'm gonna jump into Reuben first, and feel free to like jump in whenever you want. Reuben. Why do you feel like people don't succeed or won't succeed? Like, give me it real.
Okay, I think first we should probably define what success is. Okay. Because it's an absolute subjective thing. I thought I'd throw in a pundit earlier, you know me, ask about me. But I think, I honestly have come to the conclusion that success is what you define success to be. So for some person, success might be getting married and having kids. Cool. That's their main aim. Someone else, it might be to win an Oscar.
Let's be personal. What's yours?
Good question. I think it's changed as my awareness of self has changed. I think where I am now, success to me is living life on my own terms as best possible and being balanced and fulfilled with everything. So that's emotionally, professionally, personally,
financially.
Do you know what? Financially comes last because I've always put money. I've never really cared, but I'm growing up now.
That's nice, my finances.
I need to eat.
Yeah, I was gonna say finance is in my thing as well, but I'm sorry.
Finally, it is. I need to eat.
Yeah, like what lost. So you're thinking like obviously we have to have like well-being in terms of this whole pursuit of a career, right? Yeah. But you can't last even if you're not staying afloat to some degree. Yeah. So how can you have, maybe is that the reason what's holding you back? Are you focusing more on the art than you are on the material values of things?
I have been for so long, bro. For so long, and I've been the brokest guy for so long. But the plus is I've learned how to survive on a shoestring budget. But I reached the point where I was like, I have to eat. I need more than like oxygen sandwiches now.
And how long did that take?
I need to pay rent.
Are we all in that kind of bracket as well? Like, are we all focused on like the craft first rather than using the craft to make us money?
Do you know, I think I would jump in there and say, my definition of success changed after I started volunteering for the Grenfell tragedy. Purely because I felt very selfish up until then. So I thought,
me too.
do you know what I mean? I thought all my goals were tailored around me and what I wanted, and when I'm fulfilled and when I'm satisfied, that's when the brink of success tips over. But when I saw that tragedy, I was like, do you know what? It's not even about me anymore. Can I line up all that I want to do, not throwing that away at all, but I can't wait to be satisfied and I can't wait to be fulfilled, because so much stuff needs to come through, so much stuff needs to happen. And if those two can marry up along the way, then that for me is those milestones of success that I found.
Yeah, so
you're in the opposite place.
I get you, because I still don't feel
selfish as shit right now. How about that?
But
for real, like I really do, like. But that's because my selflessness has been at a detriment to myself. Right. So at this point, it's not something I need to be selfish for a little while. Otherwise, I'm
No, I am with you. There was a point where I was always giving to other people, and I was always the person that was like 10 steps behind. I would help them reach a point of success, help them make sure this project happened. Then I would look at myself and be like, okay, what's happening to my life, my career? I'm here, they don't even know I can't even afford to pay for the rounds, but like they're all good because they got to that point.
And you the rest of the next day like, I know, but can you send me 250?
And it's never happened. Right? So I feel like by filling yourself up first, right, you can then have something to give someone else. So I do feel like there's an element of success where you have to invest and selfishly invest in who you are to help other people.
Yeah, no doubt. I second that. I think our first responsibility always is to ourselves, because if we cannot take care of ourselves in terms of basic needs and fulfillment, we can't be of service to anyone outside of ourselves. I agree with it.
Yeah, when I say being selfless, I think I'm talking more so about the goal itself. If what I'm doing,
sentiment entirely.
Do you know what I mean? Like I just thought, you know, as a presenter, I want to get the big old jobs. Like me and Dermot, we're not really that different in height, man. I'm like, yeah, we can chop it up. Do you know what I mean?
Shots fired.
But if my goals can be, I want to do a presenting job, but one that's also meaningful. I'm not saying X Factor is not meaningful whatsoever. Right. But yeah, that's
not totally meaningful though, is it?
But for a career trajectory, you might need that to jump to a higher plateau.
The thing is, what you're saying is that's ultimately where I want to be.
Yeah.
Ultimately you want to do what you're doing, but I feel like for me personally, I want to do what I'm doing. I want to live my life. I want to have enjoyment. I want the things that I want. But ultimately, if I cannot add value, if I cannot contribute to this life, to this world, I don't think I will.
Okay,
that's where I'm
gonna jump in and cut, because this is what I love about these conversations. We all get passionate and we forget the question, right?
Oh,
so what is right? So why don't you think people succeed? And let's talk about ourselves. Like we can be at a state of success. I don't want to say no one in this table is at that point of success, but why do you feel like there's a resistance or a reluctance to us getting to that level of success that we want? I'm for it to you.
I think a lot of times it's what we mentioned, like balance, right? It's like I want to be selfish, but I need to self-love myself before I put my eggs in every basket to get to that success. So I think with me personally, I'm on this road and I feel like I'm doing well, and then whether it's outside factors or me specifically, I'm like, maybe I'm doubting myself, or maybe I feel like I'm not prepared, or whatever I'm going through, it will hold me back to some point. And then it takes me a minute to get further, and then that success is just further and further away because of me and outside factors.
So are we saying that we're not fully equipped then? Because you said like you're not prepared, that you're not in the mind space. Like, is that like a self thing? Like you need to equip yourself with the right mentality, mindset, environment? I don't know, like.
And that's the balance. It's like I can be selfish and I can get to a certain level of success, right? And then with other things around me, I don't feel fulfilled. Like I want to help people. I'm a helper. So I will do other things for other people before I'll think about my success, and then that pushes me back.
All right, so let's do something, right? What do you think is stopping you from being successful right now? Damn, them deep ones. That meditational pose.
Go on, I will.
We can take our time.
Yeah, while you're thinking, while you're cognitively just chilling.
We're coming back to you.
I would argue that, right? I would argue, and this is I think the first time I've said this on record.
Yeah.
Finally, I've come around to understanding that I think right now I am successful. I am. Right? I mean, there's things that I want to get to. There's goals that I adhere to.
Right.
There's more growth to happen. But right now, I'm successful because I'm in the process of doing what I feel I should be doing. And it goes back to what Pharrell says, right? It is the process and not the payoff. Because and as artists, as well, all of us, to an extent, everyone here is an artist in their own right. We enjoy the process when we're making stuff, when you're writing poetry, when you're performing it. That's the process. And the payoff, the goal is forever moving. We're here, here's the goal. It's always going like that.
It has to, that's
exactly. That's human nature, right?
I wouldn't say
the
process is the success for me though.
It is.
It's for you.
For now, yeah. Because anything outside of that, I think I'm doing myself an injustice.
Are you talking the journey though? Or are you talking the craftsmanship?
What he's saying is he's doing. What I assume is he's currently in the process. He's not doing anything else. He's in the process. He's focused. He's moving. He's working. Yeah. And to him, to be able to do that, ultimately makes him feel
once I know I'm on path.
So I
if I'm clear with my path and I'm working in it every day,
I hear that.
That's success for you.
I'm now successful. It wasn't like that before. Yeah. It used to be I need to be on TV.
I'm gonna disagree.
TV
right?
is a big thing for me.
So is it not anymore?
No.
It's not anymore.
No,
so
not
someone offering you a TV deal right now wouldn't increase your happiness, your self-actualization. It wouldn't increase any facet of your life outside of your current state of success.
It depends on the job. It depends on the job, and if I think it's a stepping stone in the right direction to further the bigger cause of what I'm doing. Then it's an extra step that's just given to me.
So this is why
I could turn it down if I'm not feeling it.
This is why I feel like some people don't succeed, is because they are wired to have the validation from the achievement. And if they don't get the achievement that they're seeing other people get in their field or even outside of the field, they start to have that self-doubt.
Bro, that's been me for years.
Right, but this is what I'm saying. So just because you've now changed your perspective and saying, cool, like my process now is my form of success, which is valid. There are points in my life where I feel like, cool, like I'm in my zone, I'm in my flow. This is what success should feel like. However, I still am aiming for those goals. Once I hit that, I feel that element of success. It is a fleeting one for me, personally, but
you can celebrate the milestone.
Yeah.
So, fair play, man. I respect that, man. Yeah. Because every time I've hit a milestone, I'm like,
what's next?
Shit.
Yeah.
This isn't the feeling I thought it.
Okay, no, I've had to force it. I've had to force it now.
I couldn't feel the
Do you know what it is for me? I think when I hit a milestone, I don't even realise. It doesn't even register because that's
what
the
hindsight that you
It's only I don't realise, and I'm starting to do it more. Like, so we put out the first episode of my new show, right? And I said that by my birthday I wanted to hit 500 subscribers. By my birthday, I intended to have out multiple episodes. We've had one episode out. I've hit 500 subscribers. Right. And initially, before, that wouldn't even register. And I said, you know what? Let me be grateful. Let me be appreciative. Let me be thankful. Let me put a post, and everyone's like, congratulations, well done. I'm kind of like, yeah, like it's one episode. So if I can get that off the back of one episode, where am I going to be after 5 episodes?
Okay.
But for me, I'm so focused on the 5th episode before, I wouldn't even acknowledge that I've hit a milestone before I intended to. And it's like 500 followers. When you compare that to whoever else, you think it's not a lot. But then I had to tell myself, but Azryah, that was your goal.
Exactly.
You hit that goal. Whereas before I would have been like, 500 followers, okay, but so-and-so has this many, so-and-so. That comparison is really the thing.
That's what holds people back for me.
And
Comparison is a
Comparison
death trap.
holds you back
It's
for
a
me.
death trap.
Yeah.
I've been there. And even though I'm aware, I subconsciously still do it. But
Oh,
now
everyone does.
I catch myself and I rein it back in.
So you don't feel like that helps sometimes? I'm extremely
Do you know what?
competitive.
Well, do you know what?
It depends on the
Seriously.
person, it depends on their psyche, it depends where that comparison stems from. Because
So is that a
for me,
weak
it
side
stems from
then?
a place of, this is what I should be doing. This is what my
Level you should be
what my
at.
success should look
Right.
like. This is where I should be at. Not like, oh, this is inspiration. This is an example. It's more like, this is better than what I've got going on.
So, yeah.
I understand and I look at it a different way because especially with like music and acting, I can look at people and be like, man, I want to do this, I want to be there, but now I'm in rooms with people that I have been watching and I wanted to do, and I'm like, we're up for the same part now. Or with music, it's like I'll look at people and I'm like, oh, I haven't played at that venue, but if they can do it, I can do it. So what do I need to do? So to me, it is more inspiration than me looking at like, dang, they're better
And
than
that's
me.
so
Or
healthy. That's so healthy. That's how it should be.
But I'll throw in a but, right? We can't deny the fact that the industry has checkpoints or markers. Right.
Thank you.
And that's where the incongruence is with
Talk
me
that.
as an artist, because I would say I'm an artist in the purest sense. Some of the shit I've done and said, because it's really left field, right? But I was really happy that I'd done it, because I was like, it was like fingers up to how the industry defines success. But when you then step outside of your own world as an artist and you go into the industry, there are these rules and checkpoints that everyone rates. Like I just come back from Edinburgh Fringe, right? And there's some comedians, I went to their shows and I was like, this is dope. I was like, well, you got a 2-star review. Because there's always bias. There's always bias on the institution or the body that's reviewing you because they've got their motives, right? And if you start measuring by those motives, it's going to start killing you inside and it's going to kill your creativity, and I've got beef with it. Sorry, I've got beef.
I think I would add as well with the whole comparison thing. I think people don't succeed because we time ourselves with a career clock. So people think, all right, by this age, I should have done X, Y, and Z.
God, it's hard,
Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, we're part of the problem because we feel guilty for when we don't hit a certain milestone or achievement by such a career clock, would you say? And people hold up 30, people hold up 25, but you've got a clock here. You are whatever age you are, and sometimes the milestones we set are just not in proportion with the ages that we do it, and then we compare ourselves to other people who may have had a lucky break or whatever it may be. There's so many factors and variables that can contribute. I think a career clock is a massive factor why people don't succeed.
Valid.
Yeah.
However, in tandem with you, I do feel like you can reach a point where you're saying to yourself, you know what, someone has reached this at the age of 30 or 40, whatever. What is it that they've done that I haven't successfly done? Right? Because can I say this? Right? There are more than one way to reach a destination.
No doubt.
We're all valid at, right?
Yeah.
Some of us get so stuck in the way of doing it our way that we don't do it the successful way,
Or
which
the
is
different way.
or the most efficient way to get you there, right?
Or maybe you've achieved something that the world doesn't deem successful, that the other person you're looking at hasn't done.
No, this is a self thing. Like if you know this is where you want to go,
Yeah.
that the other person has gone, it's still your goal.
But
It's
how
not
do you
what-
know that they're going to need to achieve that later down the line? You've just achieved that first.
No, but again, like, are you spending 20 years to do something that someone has done in 10?
And-
Is there a methodology that they're using which is more efficient than
No,
how
you
you're
wouldn't
And
find
finding
it.
it?
that goes along with working smarter.
Thank you. And
As
so I'm
opposed to
saying,
working harder.
Right.
Because so many people work smarter and our minds haven't equipped to, oh, that makes more sense. Like that's easier
Yep.
and smarter, and I didn't have to hustle this whole time.
And so I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
and there's this guy and he was like, oh, some of us are not exposed to the information that can change our lives.
Yeah.
And a lot of us
Oh,
just,
100%.
this is what I'm saying. So that
of
level
course.
that you're saying, that Mark, oh, they did, I don't believe in it. I feel like we aren't potentially exposing ourselves to the information that can change our lives. And a lot of us stay
Yeah.
in circles with friends who aren't pushing themselves to the
Right,
point
that's true.
that
Right.
keep us in that circle because, oh no, we're here together, don't worry. It's like, no, sometimes you need to jump out of that circle,
Okay,
find
for
that
example,
information.
do you know who gets someone else on Twitter?
Who?
Diddy.
Did he? What? Not my homeboy.
Diddy gets on my nerves full stop.
No, hey, yo, Diddy, my G.
You know the saying, we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
Oh.
It's a blood clot lie.
I mean, no, we do.
No, it's a blood. No, okay, forget it. Let's not take it.
In a court of law.
We do not have the same 24. It's what you were saying about environmental factors, right?
Yeah.
And our circumstances. We do not have the same 24 hours in a day. We don't. Period. And ultimately, I love the sentiment. You know, we can all do it. We can all be successful.
Right.
We can all get stuff. No, we can't.
Thank you.
We cannot.
And you know
But why? But why? I want to know why. Because you just attacked Diddy, who's someone who's achieved it. So why are you saying why?
Do you have to say we can't, or we're not all going to be? Because
we just no, we can't all be. Period. Like, it's not possible for us all to be at
Diddy.
the top. It's not possible.
So
for us
success
to
for you is
be
at the top,
Diddy.
whereas for you it's not at the top.
No, that's not what I'm
Diddy's
saying.
talking about being
That's
at
not
the
what I'm
top,
saying.
right?
What I'm saying is, I think ultimately, yes, success is subjective.
Right.
But ultimately, there is a medium where most people sit and what they deem success looks a certain
Beyonce,
way,
Jay,
right?
cool.
And I think a lot of people aim for that. And because of that, it means that they're missing. It's like almost like their perspective is skewed. Like, they actually literally can't see success in any other shape or
Cool,
form.
no.
And they go for this level of stardom or whatever it is, and it may simply be you're actually not that good.
Yeah.
But because because that's the only way you can envision success,
Yeah.
that's the only thing you're gonna go for.
Yeah.
You're never gonna get there because, no offense, you're not capable in that respect. You may be amazing at something else. You may be able to succeed in a different way, but ultimately you'll never be able to do that unless you're able to kind of change your perspective.
And this is one. So, are you mad at Diddy because he's saying we all have 24 hours, but we all don't use them in the same way, or we don't have the ability to use them in the way that he does?
That's rich nigga speak.
My point is, like, so if you, let's say you've got a kid, you've got 2 kids, you're trying to study at night, you've got a limited amount of time that you can do your thing, right? These are like tangible things that will stop you from reaching your goal easier than the next person, right? But however, some people might use that as a different drive to find another reason.
Yeah.
So I still feel like you can have 24 hours in a day,
But can I tell you
how are
something?
you utilizing your time and your resources to make that happen?
Do you know what I've realised as I've got older? The success stories we see are the exception. They are not the rule. And ultimately, as human beings, it doesn't matter how much we persevere or how much we think we can beat the odds. Most people don't, because that is how human existence works. We are a product of our environment, and that's not. And this is not me putting down. This is not saying don't try. But ultimately, that's the sad and harsh reality of it, and that is where that battle, that struggle comes in. You have to say, I know that I should be here, and I know that naturally this is probably the trajectory that I'm on, and this is where the battle comes in. Now it's like, okay, now I actively have to recondition my psyche. I actively have to make decisions. I have to actively acknowledge that this is where I should be. Now you literally need to start reworking everything, so you're practically going the opposite way, and that is so difficult because it's not natural ultimately.
Do you know, I've got so much I want to say on that.
Can we just clarify as well the whole?
I can feel it as well coming from here.
Go on, Dan.
No, go ahead.
No,
I just wanted to come back to the whole 2 lanes of working harder, working smarter.
Right.
But I don't think it matters, because I think a lot of people, I do think it matters, but I think under this word wait, what happens is people just wait. And people don't put into practice any of what they want to do because they're waiting for such and such. It can be a minor wait. It can be, oh, I needed to get this done before I actually put this in motion. So whether or not you work harder or you work smarter, if you're waiting, you'll know better than the person who's working smart or the person who's working harder. So I think those 2 things are a massive thing. And also, it's so funny when we look at people who have made it to the top. Like that phrase, I'm at the top now. But when we look at those success stories of the big stars or the big people who've got the fame and everything, they all say it's meaningless.
How many of them killed themselves as well?
Exactly. So my point is, when we define success, to whose rule? It's so true. Like, whose standard, whose rule? Because everyone who gets there says, actually, I'd rather just chill, you know. Like, I don't want it.
No doubt. It's the narrative of success that we're handed down over the ages is so flawed.
Can I jump on that, right?
Go through.
So what is our relationship with failure then? Because we're talking about success. What is our personal relationship with failure?
Do you know what?
Should everyone say?
Yeah, I want to know everyone's personal
I
relationship with failure.
absolutely love it.
Thank you.
I hate it.
I love
of it.
Do you know
I'm with
what?
you
No,
on
I
this
love
thing.
it. It's why I started doing stand-up. It's why I started doing anything.
Yeah, that's the yo. Stand up is hard.
For me, that was
Yeah.
the pinnacle. For me, that was the pinnacle. But then I got past that and I realized that I didn't care about stand-up anymore, because really what I cared about was the fear of getting past stand-up. Now for me, like, you might say stand-up is hard, but that's because stand-up is new and unknown. To me, getting up and being vulnerable like you do as a poet, to me, that's scarier than stand-up, because it's the unknown. So fear is simply the unknown, regardless of what it is. And I know with fear, I've been attacking my fears throughout my whole life. And every time I looked fear in the face and I uppercutted that thing to the floor, I became a new iteration of myself. And no one could, and that was just something that happened inside. And that's a new level of confidence, which is a new level of self-awareness and a new level of liberation that made me feel better than any award or anything. It's just attacking my fears.
And so stand-up was your pathway to reaching that point?
So stand-up in my professional career, yeah. So it was like, okay, what's the next thing, the next scary thing? What's the next scary thing? Like, I've read about the fear body, it's a physical thing, feeling it, knowing it's there, but saying, okay, cool, we're walking on the stage still, carry on making me feel like this. We're walking on the stage, we go on the stage, and it would dissipate. And then I'll be like, okay, I've got a handle on myself. So it's a battle with self. And Tim Ferriss, I'm a massive fan of Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you guys read much about his stuff, but Tim Ferriss and a lot of other people say that you don't want to be defining your goals, you want to be defining your fears and attacking your fears, because that's where growth happens, not the goals, the things that you're fucking shit scared of.
Yeah.
Look that in the eye, get past that.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is why
when
we
you start
wait.
feeling-
And that's why I think everything that we say is fear. I don't know. I don't know what we could throw out to say why people don't succeed, and it wouldn't fall under the category of waiting. Because if you're fearful about something, you'll wait.
Hold it on.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
just think
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
and then you hear, oh, I just did it, and it all kind of just.
Yeah, it was never as bad as
It's
before.
exactly.
It's never as bad as
and so
before.
when you just dive yourself into these situations and you use your failure as the wheel for success.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't. How do you disagree? Because surely you failed at something to learn how to do it better the next time, and then you're successful in that.
It's not that I disagree. Okay, for example, what is this saying? Why can I never? The amount of times I've done this, what's this saying? I can't remember it. It's not. Guys, I'm really upset about this. I'm sorry.
What you're thinking, you're gonna jump in as well.
Yeah,
I think.
so I still want to know, like, what our relationship with failure is. Like, that's your personal relationship with failure.
Yeah.
What is our relationship with failure? Let's go. By the time we get to you, we'll be cool in it. So I'm gonna go for this.
I don't think I look at certain things as failing. It's like, okay, I tried this, I learned from this, and this was my experience, and now I know what to do next time. Like, I don't ever think like, damn, I did that song and I hit the wrong note. I didn't fail the song. I got up there and I attacked a fear. I did something new. I tried something new, and it didn't go the way I wanted, but now for the next time I can do it. I went out for this role. I've blanked in a room before. Am I pissed at myself when I walk out? I'm like, yeah, but this was an experience. It's one time. I'm going to go into another room, and I remember when I did kill my audition, so I know it's possible. So there's no point of looking backwards.
I feel like for me, in
That's
comparison
so
with that, is failure.
No,
when you
but
stop trying.
It's something I had to learn. There's times I've walked out and I've cried. I'm like, why am I doing this? Am I talented? But it's like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have something. And the process, I am getting better. I am taking class. I am self-reflecting, and I'm trying not to hold on to the negative, because we can find negative anywhere. But this is what I'm passionate about, and I'm here, so I have to keep going forward no matter what. And if you never look at your growth, like sometimes I look at stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I was terrible. Like, why were people at the show 5 years ago?
Yeah, I know.
But then I'm like, and like I'm on Instagram, I'm like, should I delete this old thing? But I'm like, no, because people are gonna be like, she wasn't good then, but she has been working and she's better now. And we look at some artists and we're like, her first movie sucked. But now we're like, oh, she's on everything, and she put in that work, and we respect them in that manner.
I think failure is when you stop trying. And I feel like a lot of artists, like, we're in the scene where we see people start on a journey, stop. They have a huge hiatus in their career. And I feel like for me, that jeopardizes their success.
Yep.
Sometimes it could, on a rare occasion, it really pushes someone into it. But I believe that in 10,000 hours, that consistency of how you're relaying those neurological tracks in your brain to be like, this is the pathway. I feel like you've galvanized that way of approaching failure to be like, cool, regardless of how I feel, regardless of how I don't hit that note or present myself in something where you're gonna keep on going at it, keep on going at it. I feel like that resilience is a cousin of success. Whereas when you stop and that self-doubt comes in, I feel like that is like the disease that starts to just eat you away.
That's the waiting game. basically.
That's the way.
Yeah, it's the waiting room. People are in the waiting room. And if you don't get seen to, boy, you got to go on. You got to be like, yo, B, I've been waiting here and I need to get my whatever it is.
You're in the waiting room.
Everyone.
I want to write a poem about that.
Just credit me now.
I ain't trying to put club.
Yeah, I think it all sucks down to being in the waiting room.
That's dope.
And another thing, let me add on to that. Two things actually. All wisdom can only come from failure. It can't. So intellectually, knowledge can come through.
You already know what you know.
Yeah,
basically.
but wisdom is a feeling. It's a knowing. It's I've felt this shit, and that can only come from failure. The more we try to avoid it, the slower it's going to take for us to get.
And thank you. So this is when you said about working smart and working hard, right?
Yeah.
Some people think they're working smart, they're just working hard.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's
I've
an
been
element.
there, though.
I feel like that's an
Been there
element
as well
of
myself.
wisdom, though. I feel like when you don't have that sense of wisdom about yourself, you can't see yourself from an outwards perspective, holistically, about these are the things that aren't working right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that confusion about what working hard is and what working smart is what's stopping a lot of us.
And I think the working hard or working smart is hinged upon the fear of man. So the idea is like, normally when people work smarter, it's just like, oh, screw this. I'm not going to do that because that's going to take me 10 hours. I'm just going to do this. And normally people are like, why? People always attack the work smart, and yet we are advocates for work smart. It's like, why would you do it like this when you could do it like this? I said, yeah, I could do it like that, but I know that's not going to achieve me the results in the amount of time that I need. When you're a creative and you've got everything juggling around, that's another thing as creatives. We've got too many ideas on the go. We should just hone in on one.
Right.
But the fear of man, it could be parents, it could be whatever. It could be your employer. It could be boss man down the road. How we view ourselves and how we view how other people view us puts us back in the waiting room. But a lot of it is then, okay, well, should I work harder here or should I just work smarter? And oftentimes, when you say, oh, screw that, I don't care what people think, I don't fear you in that respect anymore. I respect you, but I don't fear it. Normally, I tend to work smarter when I make that distinction.
It sounds like that's an environmental factor, though. Like the fear of man. These are the things you see in everyone else do. If that person can't succeed, it's going to affect me. If this person can't succeed, it's going to affect me.
No, I think fear of man can be as young, like, you know, when your parents, like my dad's always like, you've achieved so much. I was from some backyard place in Mauritius, like, how are you saying, why are you upset when you come home? Do you know what, we didn't even have like electricity some nights.
Yeah, the gratitude thing's hard.
The gratitude, do you know what I mean?
It's hard though sometimes.
Listen.
I try so hard. Do you know what? Like I want to be here, I want to go there, and it's like, look, be grateful for the kettle. And I look at the kettle.
He said be grateful for the kettle.
Yeah, like, be grateful for the spoon.
I
Be grateful for your hands. I'm there looking at my hands.
Some people don't have hands. You're just like, why?
Do you know what? Right now, I don't give a fuck about my hands.
Yeah,
because I've got shit to do. And so it's hard.
It's
for me.
hard.
But it's great to be reminded of that.
It is.
Because if
No, you don't need that.
But so many people like take things for granted and like unless you're faced with those fear or you fall flat on your ass, like you don't.
I know. I understand the idea intellectually.
Like it's really nice.
I find it hard to own it sometimes.
No, I understand because my parents will do the same thing, and I'm like, who cares if I have an apartment? Like I need to work. Okay. Like I understand certain things.
My mum would say that, like back in the day, I said, I don't want this food, and mum's like, there's kids starving in Africa. I'm like, okay. I'm eating the food, like now I don't like the taste of the food and it tastes like guilt. On top of that, because I'm guilty about the Africans not eating. This is not helping me, mum. Do you know another thing?
So,
going back to what we were saying earlier on, somewhere in the conversation, I think if we place our hopes in stuff outside of our control, it's such a dangerous place to be. And a lot of success, how we deem success, especially as artists, is out of our control. There's so many moving parts. The stars and the moons have to align. And back in the day, I used to put so much hope in that. Do you know what I mean? Like get a TV gig or whatnot. The stars and the moon have to align. All I can do is focus in every single day and build upwards with what I'm doing, as opposed to outwards all over the gaff. I'm building upwards. And fulfillment comes from that. And opportunities tend to come from that as well. And then I carry on my journey.
No, I agree. I feel like when you center yourself and you focus on that success, it's like, cool, this is my pinpoint accuracy. Like everything will start to revolve around you. However, not having a team sometimes is what I mean about like,
really hard,
like because we see all these people that reach Diddy, for instance, he ain't doing everything that he appears to be doing. Someone's putting that.
People didn't even tweet that. Like,
Don't even tweet that.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like he probably got an automator doing that stuff, right?
He's on Hootsuite, man. This guy's just scheduled that.
Bolt out the photos in one day and drip them over a month.
But I do feel like every one of us who is aspiring for success has a team. They just don't realize that their friends are part of the team.
Yeah.
Or haven't galvanized them.
And haven't selected the right people to be on board or be on side.
Yes.
There are so many people that I had around me in the early stages where I felt like, yeah, we're working toward each other. They were just waiting for me to fuck up. Period. A lot of people, bro.
And you found that out
firsthand, bro. There's a lot of people that, for me, if people know me in the poetry scene, I wasn't in any cliques. I didn't know any collectives or anything like that because no one was messing with me in the beginning. Everywhere that I've reached, apart from like probably the 3rd or 4th year of my career, I had to be about myself. Like no one was trying to roll with me. Because every entertainment industry has those people that you're really cool with. And you don't permit anyone else into your, what's that thing?
Circle.
Yeah, into your circle. I'm like, wow, it hurt for the longest time. But that's what I used to fuel myself with.
So you were after acceptance then?
Sorry?
You were after acceptance?
No.
By your peers?
Do you know what? It wasn't, I feel like someone has to accept you into an environment in some, but I kind of made myself so needed that I was of value, that their acceptance wasn't what I was looking for. They had to now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember back in the day, I was trying to be on certain shows, and I was sending them emails, sending them DMs, when I increased my value, I was getting them calls from the same people who were just like dissing me in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like the value that you place on yourself, some of us don't place enough value on ourselves, and that's another reason why we don't enter certain circles.
That's my biggest issue.
For real. And even, let's go to social media, right? There are people who have told me, who reached a high plateau, right, and said that if you present yourself as a successful medium, people who see you from face value be like, I need to charge you this.
Yeah.
You need
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make
No,
it.
social media is your CV, you know. Social media is 100%. Listen, people get jobs off of your CV profile.
My thing with
Just
social
putting it
media,
out
right?
there.
I was thinking about
true,
it. I was thinking about it the other
It is
day.
upsetting.
It is. Because I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking, right, you need to be very real with yourself as right now. You have social media. Okay, so for my Twitter got suspended.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, because I jokingly added my friend, telling him I'm going to kill him in his sleep. And Twitter was like, oh, you're sending these messages.
I thought he was messing Diddy.
So yeah, they suspended my Twitter account. So that's the audience, 25,000 people
Right.
just gone, right?
As in suspension, or they took it?
No, man's gone, innit?
Wow.
Really?
Party done.
Wow.
No more Twitter threads, right?
Wow. But Trump can be tweeting all that madness and...
Do you get? I don't even get me started.
Yeah, that's another,
Yeah. So, and I was thinking, okay, cool, calm, you still got Instagram. I see how people utilize Instagram, and I started thinking about all these ways I could replicate these accounts that I've got. I said, girl, you do that, you are going to flop hard, because I can't do the promotions and the branding and the pictures and the, like, when I'm out, get a shot of, like, I cannot do it. And I thought, okay, but at the same time, I don't really feel like I utilize it because I'm not open enough with like being myself. I feel like when I'm myself, I've realized when I'm myself, I've proven this time and time again, when I'm truly myself and I'm not giving a fuck, that's when I get the best reception. That's when I'm most well received.
Yeah.
But ultimately there's a fear in that, because if you're really being yourself and people don't like it, then shit. Like,
yeah, because that doesn't work for everyone. That doesn't work for everyone.
But this is what I'm saying. That's my fear. But this is what I'm saying. That's the fear that I deal with. Like, this kind of constant like idea, like, okay, cool. What if people don't like it? What if people think it's shit? I have that issue, like, and that is because you don't hold enough value on yourself. If you value yourself highly enough, then it's a lot harder for those kind of opinions to phase you, because you are steadfast in who you are and your worth.
This is not a popular thought, right? And I'm sorry to cut you. I disagree. There are some people who can be themselves and it flies for them.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. For me, I find when I am myself, it works the best.
Okay.
It works for me.
Cool.
But ultimately, the fear is still there but that's why it makes it harder to be myself, because that's me. That's who I truly am. I can deal with someone not liking a pretense or like but when
it's you.
But when it's you, when it's not you that people like, that's a bit harder. That's a harder pill to swallow.
I'm the opposite.
I feel like on social media though, social media is its own like monster, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you're in a place with new people and you're yourself, like right now, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
Social media is just another beast, because people think that they can say and do whatever they want. So I can love myself and be confident in whatever I put in there, and someone could be so malicious with one thing out of 25,000 comments, and that might affect me, and then that might make me think about my next post or me being transparent about something. And I understand that's within me to how to deal with it, but I do understand that fear. Because I have friends that have 75,000, they're influencers, they're verified, and they're not that same person at all. Like, they don't want to do these things. They're not.
But they're using that.
They're not the most confident people. They're not the
But
most happy people. And it's like, everyone thinks that you're doing this. So we might aspire like, oh, she's herself. She's putting these deep quotes. She's transparent. And then I'm sitting with her at home and she's like, I don't know if I'm good. I don't know if I'm pretty. I don't like my weight. And I'm like, your Instagram makes me think that you're like,
you're confident.
Yeah,
you're
you make me, you're inspiring me
Yeah.
on your social media. And then when I'm sitting next to you, I'm like,
You're
I feel bad. Like, I want to hug you because I feel like I need to lift you up.
Yeah.
If people are pumping, I'm stressed. I've just started vaping. If people are pumping out lies and everyone else is doing that, they're not reflecting their true self. It's not giving other people the license to be human. To own your humanity. We connect with you when you own your humanity. We connect with you when we realise we're not alien and that we're one and the same.
Yes.
No,
This
social
polished
media has
thing
proved
is
that's not
horrible.
true. Social media has
It
proved
is
that's
horrible.
not true. Social media has proved you can be a different person and it will help you align yourself with success.
No.
It hasn't
Yeah,
always,
that's true as well, Dan.
That's
No,
what I'm
but then
saying.
it goes
There
down
are
to
two
the
sides because
definition
there are
of
people
success.
who are
You want
defecating
to get up here, you want to get up here.
But no, but you know what the difference
and
is
it's
between
all
what
a
you're
lie.
saying? Do you know what the difference is between what
Wait.
you're saying and what Reuben is saying? There's a difference between people wanting to be you. There's a difference between people wanting to be you and wanting to be your friend, be around you, wanting to know you. What Reuben is referring to is a connection. What a lot of these Instagrammers have, it's not a connection. It's this idolization.
But that's
People
what I'm
are
saying.
It's a
idolizing.
representative.
But that idolization for some is a connection. Every one of us has like a music artist that we idolize and we feel like we're connected and we see. Michael Jackson has proven that. People didn't know who Michael Jackson was.
Michael Jackson
but they will
didn't
see
know
him sing on
himself.
stage. But they'll see him on stage and cry their eyes out because they have an emotional connection to them. Is
They
that
have
because of
emotional
their
connection.
idol?
If you ask me, but
They
Okay,
have
but
an
like-
emotional connection to the idea that had been
of it,
sold
yes,
to them.
the idea
Right.
of
That means
that's it.
everyone's living a lie.
Yes.
Okay.
The artist is living
Yep.
a lie.
I
The
agree with
fans
you.
aren't connected. The fans are connected to something that's not there, and I just think that's a horrible way to live your life. That's torment.
But what I think as well, social media.
I agree with you. No, I feel you.
Some people on social media, like my cousin who isn't trying to get nothing out of social media, will post 10 million pictures of her cat, get 13 likes. Do you think she's bothered by
Oh, the
that?
cat, Lord.
Yes,
Aye, them ones annoy me, you know.
So
That
she's,
shouldn't be
so
cat's tails and
she's not
stuff.
happy with the 13 likes.
No, she's
She doesn't
over
really
the
care.
moon. She's
Yeah.
over
That's
the
not what it's
moon.
about.
Yeah, she doesn't
But
function
for
with
me, my social media is work related. I'm not on here trying to, you have to, the way you position yourself on social media, I think bounds down to whatever you're trying to be successful
Yeah.
at. If you're
Yeah,
not
I
trying to
guess
use
it's
it as a
that.
medium to gain, go on with your cats, like that's cool. But for me, that's not gonna.
You hold it to a different
Do you know?
level.
It's the same way in the workplace. I hold myself a separate way. On social media, I have to hold myself a separate way. If I'm not trying to gain anything, then
It's kind of like code switching.
yeah, it is like that. So I think when people say, "Oh, social
I'm not
media,"
good at that.
but guys are out here loving social
not
media, and that's
supposed to be.
cool. It's not everyone
You're
suffering
right.
from social media.
I want to round this up with like a really important question that actually pisses me off, right? Right? So, do motivational videos help or hinder us?
Does someone want to start?
Yeah.
Okay, can I start this? Can I
I'm
start this?
saying I want to round off on this as well,
Can I
yeah?
start
So,
this? Can I start this? Okay.
Right.
I have one of my best friends in the whole world. We've been friends since she was 11. She's like my sister. We're like, I don't want to say we're polar opposites because we're not, but in terms of like the way we work and the way we kind of our process is completely different. She's very regimented, like to-do lists, like self-help. I'm the opposite. I'll roll out of bed at whatever time.
function.
We'll make her do, like we just literally just. I've never been particularly organised or disciplined where she has that down to like a T, and she's definitely in a position. I look at her and she gives me inspiration like 100% because she's been through shit as well, like, and she's so positive, and she does the whole motivational thing.
Videos.
Like she does that. She does that, and I feel like it works for her. But that's what I was going to say. For me, I might read the odd book here and there. I feel like if you're going to do the motivational thing, you have to be dedicated because it's that rewiring of the brain. You hear these messages every day. You're given these ideas every day. Reading a self-help book here and there, don't think it's going to work. But for me, I can't sit down and listen to another person.
So does it help you?
So it doesn't help me because
Okay.
that's just not how I receive information. Things like this work a lot better for me.
I feel that there's temporary satisfaction. like, pardon the phrase, is like a jerk off. Oh, I feel really great and motivated right now. Oh, I can do it. And then after a couple hours or maybe a week, you need that hit again.
But that's motivation, is like that. Motivation is like needing to eat. You need to re-up.
But they phrase it like it's a culture. This is who you are. Like,
I feel like
you know.
I feel like it is. I feel like if you're gonna do that whole motivational thing, you do have to commit to it like that, like it's a culture. Otherwise, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, they sell that as like a dream though, man.
Even when you don't feel like it.
And I mean, I think that goes into like religion sometimes too, because people like sometimes they don't want to go to church, but they're like, this is good for me. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna get something, and it's gonna refuel me to keep going.
Yeah.
Same thing as if I'm watching motivational things, or I follow someone, and I know every day they're gonna post something that's gonna make me think or feel. So
it's a coping mechanism.
But I mean,
But
is that bad? I mean, it's like if I work out
every
every day because I like the way it makes me feel, it's a commitment and it's something that gives me a feeling. So is that much different than being around a positive person or reading something every day or watching?
I used to hate self-help and all the motivation.
Yeah, I don't like disingenuous people who do the whole motivational thing because they know, and those are the ones that annoy the hell out of me because they're seeing that there are people who are insecure, they don't feel confident in themselves, and like, you know what, I'm gonna market this to you.
Yeah.
You've got to be like, don't do that because there are people really like beating themselves up even more now because what you've put as like successful to reach that goal is so far beyond their current capacity, they feel like shit. So they can't achieve it.
I think the best motivational stuff is when it's anecdotal. When someone comes alongside and says, you know what, such and such and such, but this motivated me, this is what I've done. That is far more motivating to me. Instead of just being a generic, you need to give me a story.
I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite. I feel like that's lovely. That's really nice. I'm glad it worked out for you.
I feel like we're about to pass someone right
now. I'm not. But I feel like.
But surely that's more genuine and personal.
Do you know what? It's not, because people are very manipulative. You know, they know what they're doing.
Thank you.
I don't buy the whole. This is my life. If I can do it, you can do it too. Like. I just don't. And the thing is, I feel like you can tell when people are being genuine. I feel like, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it's all bullshit. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like it's an industry and it is a culture. And I feel like as much as it can work, it's about how you utilize it. So it's not about the speech in and of itself. It's about how you like I said, how you receive the message, what works for you. For me, that doesn't work because I think my consciousness is maybe different to someone else, so I'm perceiving it from the jump. I'm already coming with a particular attitude, so I'm not going to receive it. Whereas Vanessa, my best friend, she might be more open, or she might see what I see, but she looks past it. She can extract something from it that maybe I can't. And I feel like that's why I said it takes a commitment, because you need to figure out how best to utilize this and how best it's going to work.
I think a lot of us have commitment issues with our success, with the process that it takes to reach success. There's so much that we need to unpack here that I feel like, again, like, comment on the link, like tell us what you think of the link, but there is so much that we need to discuss that will continue later on. Thank you for tuning in.